On behalf of Learners Conclave, I would like to welcome all of you once again to yet another very interesting session on the Learning Hour. The topic today is achieving customer service excellence. And I'm sure all of us understand the importance of the customer and the customer experience in trying times like the current. So let me introduce our facilitator this evening. We have Ms. Anuradha Sharma. All right, while she considers herself a learner even till this day, she has been a learning facilitator for more than 2 decades. Her core focus areas are conducting workshops on building and transforming behavioral competencies for corporates. Currently, she is working as the L&D at 3i Infotech. So welcome, Anuradha. And I guess it's time now that I hand over the reins to Miss Anuradha. So all the best to yet another session at the Learning Hour.
Hi everyone.
You're not very audible, Anuradha.
Am I audible now?
Not very. Are you using headphones to speak, Anuradha?
No. I have been. Am I audible now?
Yes, much better.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'll just start it from the. Is the screen visible to all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Thank you. So today's topic is customer service excellence, how to achieve it. So I am pretty sure that each one of you know how to achieve it. And there is nothing new which today I'm going to tell you. Like all the topics, all the things, all the micro elements which we are going to discuss today are already known to you. So why the session? Still, I feel that this session will help us all. So can anybody tell me why we are having this session?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Rahul.
Hi, Rahul.
Hi. We are doing this session because
Hmm.
we know many things, but sometimes we need someone to bring the important things out. So that's why we learn things.
You're very right. I'll just put it differently. Things are known to us. Only thing is today during this 90 minutes, we'll try to first create the relevant folders and then we'll put the relevant things into each folder so that we can actually access the information very easily. So that is what is my objective from my side. So now, I think many of you are freelancers or you might be working in corporates. So it is just, we'll start this session with a small activity. Imagine that a NDTV journalist has come to your office and he wants to cover the full day at your office and wants to see what you do throughout the day. So now, then in the evening, you are asked to come to review what was recorded. So once you have the glimpse of the recording, so my question is just that, what will you see? So I give you 3 minutes. You can just visualize what happens, how the day will go, how the recording will look to you, and then please share.
So Anuradha, this is Suresh here. You want us to share here?
Yeah. If you're ready, then please.
Okay,
Let
so
me know.
what the way I will look at the video is probably he will or she will start shooting how people are coming inside the office, in what mood, mind, and how do they settle down. Okay, and again probably at some point of time he will shoot or she will shoot in terms of how they move around to cafeteria, how do they socialize, how do they move around and things like that. This is like, besides the regular office desk work which is available for them. And
So
also
yeah, so now my question is, maybe I couldn't express myself properly. My question is that now as you have been asked to have a glimpse of the recording, so what will you see in the recording? You, because it's your team, it's your office. So what will you see?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Rahul.
Hi, Rahul.
I would see the productivity of my team. What are the time wasters, and what can be done to make them productive, but not imposing things on them.
Please, what you are saying is you have actually gone to the solutioning part. I'm simply saying that how the glimpse of the recording will be.
It would be chaotic, some things chaotic and some things organized.
Excellent. So, anyone else?
Interaction with teammates. How they interact with teammates.
Okay. So
Hi,
overall,
this is Amit. What I would like to see was first would be what is not regular, that I would first check.
okay.
So if there are like aggressive movements, if there are conflicts like things going on, or anything which is not regular or which is not wanted, I will get into that.
Okay. Fine.
Okay,
Hello everyone, this is Hemant here. I think one of the first and the foremost observation would be on the appearance and on the body language. I think the appearance of the people who will be working and also the body language they display initially is very important, and I think that's the first thing which I'll observe. Thank you.
Perfect. What you're saying is perfect, Hemant. Now the question is, it's your office. It's your office. So like earlier, one of the participants said that he'll see that some of the things are chaotic, but some of the things are organized. So that way, if I extend it further, so I'll see that some of the people are very much energized, very much happy also, satisfied also, and some are dissatisfied and unhappy.
Exactly.
Tulasi Priya here, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. So I would look at in a constructive way first the positive ways which is happening there, and the things to be changed or things to be developed there.
Okay, Tulasi, can I just intervene over here? When we are looking at the recording, so that time we are just looking at the recording. We are basically taking all the data, all the information. We are not judging it or analyzing it.
Okay.
So it's just, what will you see? Whatever you are seeing, it is the energy of the people, the way they are working. So all those things. Why I'm emphasizing on this question is because once you are able to gauge the energy of the people, and once you are able to gauge that from which mindset they are working, so that will help you in totality. Am I making some sense now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just see that. Okay, so once you're having the glimpse, then as you watch, you see some unhappy employees who feel they are putting in a lot of efforts but still not achieving the desired output. So as somebody said rightly, that my focus may be where I'm not looking the results, where I'm not getting the results. So that is later on what we watch more carefully. And what you wish to see. So we want to see resourceful people. We want to see productive people. We want to see efficient and happy looking people. So in short, what we want is that our organization or our team should exhibit customer service culture. So am I right?
Hi, can I add something to it?
Yeah, sure.
An organization basically looks for total quality people who are integrated towards the work and they do it from their heart. It is not something they're doing in a fake or they have to do way.
So exactly, that's the reason we are saying that we are looking at the resourceful people or the productive people who are aligned to the team's common goals and objectives. And they can perform under pressure, they can still be calm under pressure. So when apparently people may be angry, that doesn't mean that they are not calm internally. We don't know. So, but overall, we want that everybody should be aligned to the common goals and objectives, and everybody should be putting in what he or she is expected to do, or he or she is supposed to give the results. So now, so as we all want customer service culture, can you tell me why do we want to have customer service culture? Just 2-3 points.
Better productivity.
Yes, it improves the productivity.
You can say less attrition. Loyalty will also increase.
Very good. So that is, we all are aware of that. What are the benefits of it? That first and foremost, basically, when we have customer service culture, so there is effective communication at all the levels. So if any organization is able to achieve, or any team is able to achieve effective communication, then by default, the customer service culture will come. Because their people are listening to others and they are communicating what is desired to be communicated, what is needed. So that's perfect. So all these things we will achieve. Yes. Now the key question is that what are the 3 elements of customer service? So I request you to please write in the chat box, or you can tell me also. Yes, Suresh. Yeah. So what are the 3 elements of customer service?
Ensuring that they get what they are expecting or what they are supposed to get.
Sorry, can you repeat it?
It's about deliverables, ensuring that they will get what they are supposed to get, for which they have come.
Deliverables are part of customer service, yes. But when the word service comes, then deliverables, when we talk about deliverables, it's entirely a completely tangible thing. And
So
customer service basically is an attitude.
You're talking about the empathy part of it, experience part of it.
So I'm asking, what are the key elements? If I have to,
so friendliness and things like that?
It will be like understanding your customer.
Yeah. Excuse me, respect?
Respect basically is a customer service value.
Okay, understanding their needs.
Understanding
Hello.
the needs is, yes, understanding the needs of who? Understanding the needs of customer.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first component is knowing your customers. So like we know, knowing your customer will cover the concepts like who actually are customers, who can be our customers, what are the needs of those customers. Second is the understanding the definition of service, like what is my definition of service to the customer, and why this component is very, very important for us to understand, that we'll discuss later. And the third is customer approach, like how do we approach our customers. So first point, I'll just take all the important factors. I'll just run through the slide. You all know that there is a difference between customer and consumer.
Yes.
So we'll not spend time.
No, we don't know. Could you please explain?
Yes, I do that. Now, customer is a person, or customer is an individual or a business that purchases the company's goods or services. A customer may not be consuming the services or the products which he's buying. He's not the end user. He may or may not be the end user. Consumer is the end user. Like all of you, I'm assuming, it's just an assumption, are trainers. So now when you go and you have to, who is your customer? Your customer basically most of the time is the company whose employees you are going to train. So the end consumer basically will be the participants or the people who will be in the training room. But your customer is the HR team of, or the HR head or the L&D head of any organization. So is this point clear?
Sorry to interrupt, Parsuram here.
Yeah.
Like there are instances where the customer can also be the consumer.
Yes, yes, that's there. That's there. So I'm saying that what is the difference? Then the customer is consumer also.
But why do we need to differentiate between customer and consumer when we are discussing about the customer centricity?
Because we need to understand, when we are talking about customer centricity, then basically the consumer is also a stakeholder. If our customer is not the consumer. So we cannot be customer centric unless and until we understand about all the stakeholders. So is it okay?
Could you just give an example for this so it will be more easy to understand?
I just give you the example, like, okay, the trader of
Can I add here?
Items.
Doctors are the customers, but the consumers are the patients. Is my example okay?
Doctors are the customers, but
of the pharmaceutical
No,
company.
see, example.
This is partial. This is partial understanding.
All the purchase managers of the company will buy the product, but they are not the consumer, right?
Yes, yes. So as I gave you the example, can I say something?
Wholesaler, retailer,
Wholesalers are the customers and the buyers, wholesalers as well as the retailers are the customers of the products which they are selling. Whereas consumer is the person who is using them.
See, I would like to make it simpler by having an example. If I buy the packet of biscuit for myself, I am a customer and the consumer together. But if I buy the packet of the biscuit for my son or my dog, then I am a customer and the son or the dog is a consumer.
You are absolutely right. So now I would like to explain it from trainer's perspective, that our product basically is very rarely bought by the consumers if we are into corporate training. So our customers basically are the L&D heads. So they buy our product, they buy our services, they do the shortlisting, they do the whole process wherein the finalization of the trainer is done. So, but who is using our services are the people who come to the training room. So those are the end users. So they impact your further business. Maybe if your pitch is very good, then you can sell your program once, but your ultimately the retention of you as a trainer by any company will also be impacted by the feedback of the participants in your training program. So I think now it must be clear to all of you. Now,
Yes. Yes, it is clear.
yeah, so this point is clear. Now, who are our customers? There are internal customers and external customers. If you want, then I can take these 2 points in detail, otherwise they may be clear. Or our internal customers are the people who work within the company, like your team members, the HR department in the company, or the technical department in the company. They all are our internal customers, because we are giving them, we are providing them one or the other service as trainers. So now external customers are the people to whom my company is giving the products. So like 3i Infotech, where I work currently, they are into providing banking products and banking services. So I conduct training program internally for the complete team, the IT team, the various product divisions, the engineering team, the implementation team, the support team. So all of them. So directly, I'm not doing any training program for the external customers, but my services are impacting the external customers also, because if I'm not able to enable the participants to exhibit the skills which are needed, so then they will not display those skills and it will impact the business. So I'm taking examples from training per se only. So is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you all will agree that wowing the customer builds the organization's reputation and overall brand. Do you agree?
Yes, we agree.
So now we all are aware of the Walmart. So Sam Walton, who is the founder of Walmart, he has said that there is only one boss, and whether a person shines shoes for a living or heads up the biggest corporation in the world, the boss remains the same. And the boss is the customer. So it is very, very important that we give full respect to the customer by understanding his needs. So, you know, the existence of any business is only because of customers. You may create great products, but if there are no buyers, then your business will not be there in the market. So that is the reason we all need happy and satisfied customers. They make our business grow. And if we have one happy customer, so we get more money. So now this is where the challenge comes. We serve him. What do we do to keep customer happy? We serve him to keep him satisfied. We go beyond his expectations by providing exceptional customer service and create great value for customer. So now my question is that, is there any person who is not doing this? Hello?
Almost everybody is running.
Yes.
Sorry?
Almost everybody is running the same race.
Yes, so almost everybody is doing the same things. So why the customers are not happy? Because when I'm the service provider, then I do anything and everything which will make my people, which will make my customers happy. Because I'm 100% aware, rather more than 100% aware, that existence of my business is directly impacted by the satisfaction of my customers. But still there are certain gaps.
Everybody is running the same race. So you have to be differential from the others. And
we have to be differential from the others. That awareness also, I think everybody have.
Right.
In the knowledge domain. I'm talking about in the knowledge domain. So now, so here the key differentiator is that for us, it is very, very important to understand who qualifies to be our customers. So we know that every human being on this earth requires training. Every human being requires behavioral training. But to begin with, we cannot tap anyone and everyone. So we have to actually see that from where we need to start. So who qualifies to be our customer? So that is, it's very, very important that we start defining the scope somewhere, or we, in order to get to the approach, we start defining it. And then
can you show this full screen?
Yeah. So it is very, very important for us to see that who qualifies to be our customer. So unless and until you have jotted down all those things, and the moment you say that customer X actually, or this organization X is my, it qualifies to be my customer. So at that time, the next thing that you need to see is that how will you, or how do you identify the apparent and hidden needs of each one of your customer? You all must have gone through this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So now usually we are not here to satisfy the physiological needs of the customer. Neither are we here to give self-actualization to him. So somewhere we are working on the middle three parameters, that on the esteem, or on the belongingness, or on the safety. So somewhere we aim to fulfill any of these three needs. And when we are able to fulfill those needs, we create value for the customer. So now, before I move forward, just take 2 minutes, and please don't speak for 2 minutes. Just internalize, think, and then write that how do we create value for the customers? There are just 3 ways. Anyone can create value for anyone. So just think, and trust me, all these things, all these points we have already covered in the previous workshops. So, could you get the question? Is the question clear to you? You can write in the chat box also.
Can you just repeat once, please?
Yeah, my question is that like when we are doing these actions we are taking, we are identifying the apparent and the hidden needs of each one of our customer. So what is our objective? The objective is actually to create some value. We want to create some value for the customer. Now just let me know what are the 3 parameters where we create value for the customer.
earn trust.
This can also be done by creating the wow effect.
Yeah, exactly. We are creating the wow effect, but how? What we do which creates the wow effect?
To earn the trust, to create the bond, having
Exactly. So one point is that we create the bond. So I can put it like that by creating a relationship with the customer.
yes,
So when we create the relationship or a bond with the customer, what do we give him?
extra value, extra service which others are not providing.
Just by creating the relationship, we are not at all giving him any extra value. By giving extra value, sometimes we develop the relationship. But when we develop the relationship, at that time, we are not giving him anything extra.
Okay.
So what is that?
We're
He
building
gets.
a trust.
We
We build a
Earning trust,
Yes,
earning
we are,
trust,
We're
yes,
building a
earning
trust.
trust.
yes, it is
we
trust
creating
building.
mutual understanding.
Yes. So what we are giving to the customer over here is the value that is being created is the confidence. Now, the customer has got confidence in us that okay, whatever is the need related to my services, I will surely fulfill it. That is the first point. What is the next?
To maintain the consistency.
Yeah, empathy is very important. We need to completely empathize with the.
Empathy is a value.
Yeah, fair enough. So trust
So
would lead
I'm
on.
talking of value creation. Empathy we cannot see.
What we are doing just to make the consistency.
Consistency, when you are maintaining the consistency, so what you are doing to the customer, where the value is getting added.
To be honest, always.
To be
Keep updating
honest,
customers.
always is the customer service value.
Keep updating customers.
So that is covered in confidence, that is covered in relationship. So once that confidence has been built up, so now you have to go to level 2. So level 2, basically, I'll tell you there are two things. Either we create value by providing direction to the customer. So as trainers, next level will be to become their coaches or mentors.
Yes.
So second thing is, and how do we do that? How do we give them direction? By exhibiting our leadership. So like we give confidence by exhibiting our relationship skills. So herein we are giving them direction by exhibiting our leadership skills. And third and the foremost, and all these things are very much interrelated, is by building their capability through the creative solutions. As somebody was telling me that in the market we all are running in a race. So we need to differentiate ourselves. So what will differentiate me from you? That is my creativity quotient. So whenever I'm being creative and I'm giving direction or through that creativity, I have to build up the value. I have to give the value to the customer. Then I have to enhance his capability. So as a trainer, if I say that, okay, I'm giving you the direction also, I'm giving the confidence also. And third thing, that is after my training, the capability enhancement has not happened. So do you think that I am providing customer service?
No.
No. So that is that these three things basically, when you can see some scaling up of these three things, that means we are on the right track. So every time if we have to evaluate, so we have to evaluate on these three parameters. First is confidence. Is my customer confident? And then you have to see that what are the behaviors that customer will show if he has confidence in you. Because confidence is something which is not seen apparently. So you have to probe him, you have to connect with him, you have to communicate with him to evaluate whether he is having confidence in you. And direction, yes, if you are providing direction, that means he is taking your consultancy, he is taking your points and implementing, which can be easily seen. And similarly, capability building is also apparently seen. So now the second question is that what is service? Now I have understood that how I can create value. So now I have to build up. I was saying that the second element is the definition of service. So now first of all, if I have to define my service, that what type of service I'll provide, I need to understand what service is actually. So before we talk about service, I have another question is, what is the difference between service and charity? What is the difference between service and charity? So I give you 2 minutes. I'm going to mute everyone for 2 minutes. Please think and then let me know.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, so service is where you know the derived value or how your contribution is going to be used to the delivery point.
Actually, somebody has asked me, how would you evaluate confidence? There are many ways, or there are scopes that we have to see, that slowly you will see that as we understand service now, we'll be able to see that how we can evaluate the confidence. Sorry, what are you saying? That charity is for everyone, that people have written, service for tangible outcome, charity expected outcome are not tangible. Service as per the requirement of customer. Okay.
Charity is build up trust.
Charity is a free service.
No, you can, whenever you are giving service now, service is usually free. That's what we need to understand. Service is given by the will of the seller. Service is that extra mile which you are ready to walk. So it's as per the economics. A service is a transaction in which no physical goods are transferred from the seller to the buyer. The benefit of such a service are held to be demonstrated by the buyer's willingness to make the exchange. So it is, when you are giving service, there is a major difference between service and charity is that when you are doing charity, at that time you never spend time to understand that what type of need of the receiver is getting fulfilled. You do charity because you want to do charity. At that time, maybe in charity you want to give 1,000 rupees. So you will randomly choose and then you will say, okay, take this 1,000 rupees and do the needful. So therein you will simply see that, okay, in charity, you can feed 100 people. But if you want to serve 100 people, so over there, when you are giving them food, you are in turn getting the satisfaction of feeding those 100 people. So you are doing it from your core. You are doing it from your will, and you are doing it to fulfill any of your need also. So service is an attitude. Service is something which cannot be imbibed in anyone. Service, the person can imbibe in himself or herself only. There is no program in the world which can help people to become customer centric or acquire customer service excellence. That is your inner alignment. Service is nothing but your inner alignment between three things. In your thinking, when you are able to align your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So then you are serving because you want to serve. Have I made this point clear?
Yes.
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 Okay. So now I'll tell you, there are two eyes of service. Can you just tell me what are those two eyes of service?
So ma'am, if I was to interrupt, sorry.
Yeah.
So you mean, if we take today's scenario, where everything is under a lockdown. So I think service would be when people go out and help other people by means of distribution and things like that. So that would be a part of a service.
That is a part of service because you are stretching yourself and whatever you have, like you are a trainer. So if you are giving your service, but service is only if the receiver also feels.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So today, if people are in need and you go and help them out, so that
you are fulfilling any of their hidden need also.
Okay.
So then it is a service.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So yes, what are the two eyes of service? If we are able to understand those two eyes of service, then we can define our customer service approach very easily. Any guesses? No, when I give you the eyes, then you will say, ma'am, what you are teaching is something completely and totally wrong. The first eye is service is intangible, and the second eye is service is inconsistent. So do you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with the first one. Service is intangible.
Not with the second one?
Little bit require.
Both are required. We require the tangible part of service and we also require the consistent part of the service. But I'm saying that as such, what is the basic nature of service?
It is written inconsistent.
Yes.
Service inconsistent.
Service is inconsistent also because as said that service is directly proportional to your attitude. And your attitude is directly proportional to your emotional state. And your emotional state is never consistent. Neither the receiver's emotional state nor the giver's emotional state.
Like you had mentioned before, I think your thoughts and actions are coming into play here. So that is the reason why a little bit of inconsistency might creep in.
Yes. So why I have put these points? Because if we are aware, see, whole thing that we have been learning in all the previous workshops is the moment we make ourselves more aware So we are able to actually make we can actually move from intangibles to tangibles, from inconsistency to consistency. So now, if you know that basic nature of service is like that, so then, and when as a service provider or as a seller, I cannot afford that my service is intangible and inconsistent. So when I'm writing the scope document, so in that case, while writing, it becomes my responsibility and my duty, and my foremost action is that in the scope I define that what do I mean by service and what are the things which I will cover in the service. Because if you don't define that, if your employees don't have that document, if your team members don't have that document, then you will never be able to give consistent service. Because if you don't define the timelines, if you don't define the quality parameters, if you don't define all the parameters which you are committing to the customer or which you are discussing with the customer are defined, then the scope of unhappiness, it becomes more, because later on you don't have anything to refer to, because then the customer may say, okay, I was thinking something else, but you're giving me something else. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Hello.
Agree.
Yeah. So it's very important for us that we understand that. So now, lastly, when I was talking about understanding the customer, so therein the second sentence was to also identify their apparent and hidden needs. So it's very important for us to see that what are apparent needs and what are hidden needs. And then we have to see that how my service is actually fulfilling those. So we all have the need to eat, and there are roadside food joints to the 5 stars, and all of them are providing food. So what is the difference?
Just service
of the customer, right?
It is that everybody is fulfilling the same apparent need, but the underlying or the hidden needs are different. So every time,
Okay,
can you please mute yourself?
Okay, என்னாச்சு?
Please mute your when you start speaking.
Okay, I'm doing that. So I have muted all. So, or you take the example of a torch. Now, in case of torch, why do people buy torch? Yes, quality of food and ambience. If I start discussing now, you will see that it goes much beyond that. It's not just about the quality of food and ambience, it goes to a much deeper level. Experience, what type of experience? So it's about brand also. It is also about, yes, social status. So there are so many things. So if we understand all those things and then we define, then we create our definition of service. So it will help us that where do I fit in? So how my services are satisfying the customers of needs. Because nobody is buying your product. People are buying the value. Show off, yes, many a times. Reliability, yes. So
I mean,
now it is very, very important that
for
we
the pharma
create.
industry, we have seen that whenever we are organizing a CM in a smaller hotel, the customers do not want to join us, and they
yes
it very clearly that, well, Ari, this is the hotel that you have organized your thing. This is not a hotel of my level, so I would like to go and join a different CME which is happening in at a much higher strata of hotel.
Yes, so it is like money is not the criteria. Like if we give the cheap services, that doesn't mean that people will buy our services, but people may buy cost-effective services. So, am I making sense? Okay, now these perspectives, still I have written all these things actually have already been covered in the previous workshops. So, visual perception. Yes, now how do we overcome the visual perception or any of the perception? Yes. Yes, Parshuram, you want to say something?
Yeah, this example of the street side restaurant and the 5-star restaurant, I could not relate it. What was the inference of that example?
I was saying that the apparent need is food. We want to eat. So the food is being provided by the roadside restaurant also and by the 5-star also. So both are fulfilling the same apparent need. Apparent which is very clear, which is obvious. But along with the apparent needs, there are hidden needs also. So there are so many hidden needs. Hidden needs basically are usually the psychological needs. If you can go back to the Maslow's law of hierarchy, then you will see that esteem is also a need.
So what could be the hidden need for somebody who is eating in the street side restaurant?
His hidden need is to save money also, that is one thing. And if a rich person is going to eat a street food, then maybe he wants to say that I'm just like an ordinary person. I also eat street food because I enjoy eating it over here. That place is giving the quality food and I love the taste of that. He wants to exhibit that he's a normal person.
Okay.
That is the reason that person is clicking the picture and putting it on the social media. Na? And for a poor person, it's his need. Poor person has only apparent need, khana khana, that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so my question was that yes, if visual perception is a filter, so how do you overcome that?
We can look from the customer side.
Yes, so in other words, because this word I have heard like several times from you since the time we have started the session, that we need to empathize.
Yeah.
So now, just one question, and please don't answer me immediately. Take minimum 60 seconds to answer. What is the first step that we need to take if we have to empathize with others? I'm just asking for the first step.
To create a familiar environment.
To create a familiar environment. Okay, how?
Try to connect more than only communicate.
Okay, I'll give you a clue that the empathy is also defined was that putting self into other person's position, putting self into the other person's shoes. So
There
what
has
is
to be
the
emotional
first?
connect. Emotional connect. An emotional connect has to be established.
Yes, but what is the first step to do that?
But emotional connection is possible only when we get personal, and it will take time. As you asked only about the personal step first.
Yeah, so I'm saying just
So
yes,
listen.
Rahul.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah,
Sunil
Rahul.
this side. Ma'am, the ability to imagine how another person is feeling and so understand his or her mood.
The
It's
ability to imagine is fine. So what is the first step that you will do?
You need to listen.
Yes, you need to listen from which space, how? You know, why I'm emphasizing on this point, because I have been into training for 20 years, and each one of us, including me, we always feel that we are empathizing. But still, later on, we get to know many a times in the real difficult situations that, okay, we were not getting the results because we could not empathize.
Listening from the customer's perspective and understanding what he's trying to tell us, where we should not have our assumptions in the fore there.
So now you see another thing. If I think in one of the workshop which was done earlier, because I couldn't attend all, they also talked about how do we learn. So now, whenever we learn anything, we always connect to what we know previously. We build it up on that. So usually we build up our listening to something that we already have. But if we build up the listening on something that we already have, then do you think can we can empathize with them?
Yes, I suppose, yes, absolutely.
So again, I have actually put the question now, what is the first step that I need to take to move to the other person's position, or what is the first step that I need to take to put myself into the shoes of the other person?
I think you have to get him within your trust circle. You have to establish trust.
So the first step. Okay, I'll not create more drama because we don't have time. You know, we do everything.
Knowing about them.
We do all those things. Only
First,
thing
we
is
need to think. First, we need to think that ourselves as the customer. So, from the customer point of view, we need to realize it.
Yeah. So the thing is, we do everything, but we are stuck to our position. Now, if I have to think like you, then first of all, I should be ready to leave my position. If I have to put myself into the shoes of other person, then first I have to take out my shoes. What we do is we keep on putting our shoes and put ourselves into the shoes of other person, and then we say, it's okay, I'm not feeling any discomfort in your shoes. Do you think it happens?
Yes.
And that
It rarely happens, yeah.
And that is where we need to work. And I tell you from my experience that I'll just take 2 minutes. One of my friend lost her father when she was in class 10th, and she had 3 younger sisters. And I got to know about this 25 years back when I got married, that she doesn't have father. And I remember when I got to know that she doesn't have father, I told her, yeah, I know how it feels. And 3 years back, I lost my father. And that day I realized that I didn't know that how does it feel to be without father. And this is my personal experience. So most of the time, if we start from that position that yes, it's really difficult for me to understand what the other person is feeling. So then you give your 100% to align yourself to that person, and you allow his subconsciousness to communicate with your subconsciousness. And then the communication is complete. Because empathy cannot be established when the two conscious minds are communicating. So I remember in these 3 years, I could empathize with people more because I got the insight that when I say that I understand, I have to actually bring about some inner realignment. Only then I can understand. From the alignment which I am having inside me at that time, I cannot understand the other person's problem. So I don't know, like this is something which you can easily learn or understand, but I cannot make anybody understand this point. So that is my limitation.
Ma'am, can I raise a point here?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, I do understand where you're coming from, but see, given a situation, a person given a situation, two different people would, even if the situation is same, for example, what you just narrated, each person is different, is wired differently. So he would be taking, his mind or his responsiveness based on his outlook, right?
Yes.
So, is it possible theoretically 100% to actually, walk into somebody else's shoes in that sense?
Exactly. That's the reason I'm saying. So if we start from that it is very difficult for me. It is very difficult for me to do that. Then I give my 100%, and then I may be able to actually empathize with that person to some extent. Maybe to 80%, maybe to 90%. Still never 100%.
Correct.
But
So
if I work from that realization,
yes, ma'am.
Then I listen more.
Correct.
Then I will probe more. Then my probing will also be right. I'll be asking right questions. I'll invest time to create right questions.
Agree, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah.
So this is what I wanted to say, that it's very, very, and that is where, if you get the time, because I don't have the time over here, if you read about design thinking, so the design thinking, the first step in design thinking is about empathy.
Correct, ma'am.
So the two steps to empathize are listening and probing. So listening and probing, if we are able to, get mastery in these two skills, then, we can manage any situation and every situation.
True that.
So yes, so those are the two key parameters, I would say, to connect with people. So like another is the tone. So now the person who understands the concept of empathy, he will be an effective listener, and effective listeners know that words have no meaning. People have meaning. So that is the difference that comes once you start empathizing. Another is past experiences that all of us knows, because we have attended now so many sessions which talk about that.
Can you just show the previous slide for a second?
Okay. So I just gave the example that language is the tone basically that we use. So our tone basically is reflection of our attitude. So
correct. Got it.
We cannot use the right tone unless and until our inner alignment is complete. So if a person who is a sexist, so when he'll be speaking the sentence, it will come, a woman without her man is nothing. But the person who is a feminist, will say a woman without her man is nothing. So effective listener knows that words have no meaning. This is what I wanted to say. People have meaning. So you listen everything in the context. So past experiences actually. So in this, the last point basically is very important, that my experiences create my model of world, and my model of world may not be the real world. So if I start initially working from this space, so then this space actually enable people to become assertive. Prejudice. So prejudice is basically partly due to the culture and partly due to the past experiences. So feelings, environment, so now I'll come to the service values. So I request you to just take 2 minutes to write down what are the 7 important service values.
Ma'am, could you please show the
okay, I'll mute everyone. Yeah, sorry.
feeling slides?
Sorry?
Can we see the feeling slide one more time?
Feeling slide. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Have we lost Anuradha's network, I guess?
Yes, sir.
She will try and log in again. So we'll just have to bear with her for a few moments.
प्रधान प्रश्न
झाली हॅलो घंटा सेशन अरे ऑनलाईन आहे का मी संपलं का
Hello, I think still it is online. She's trying to come. कौन है? Hello.
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 Yes. The session is not over yet. Please wait for a couple of moments. Anuradha is just trying to log in. She somehow got disconnected. She's trying to log in again.
Yeah, no problem.
So anyways, while we are waiting, I guess I can also take the liberty to announce tomorrow's session. So we have a very interesting session tomorrow, which is known as Power to Succeed. And our facilitator is going to be Ms. Farida Messiwala. She's been a regular attendee of the Learning Hour, and very happy to announce that finally she's also going to be facilitating the program tomorrow. So, well, so I guess all of you can also prepare yourself for tomorrow's session. The day after tomorrow, we have a session on the law of attraction. That's going to be another interesting session by Anjali Dubey. So this week has got an interesting lineup. If you want to monetize, or rather learn the art of monetizing your expertise, is our next session, which is going to be on Thursday, which is going to be done by Mr. Suresh Babu. Friday has got some essential mantras of life. And on Saturday, we have a kind of special, which is going to be involving a facilitator called Rishi Nanda, who is also a mythologist. So keep yourself updated on what's going to happen. This week is going to be a very exciting one with a variety of topics that all of you can learn and all of you can, of course, implement in your lives. So, unfortunately, Anuradha is not able to log in once again because surprisingly, she's got two networks and she is not receiving internet connectivity on any of them. So we would unfortunately have to wind up this session here itself. Nevertheless, what would be done is the PowerPoint would be shared with all, so that at least you will have the material or the resources that she wanted to share with you. It's just the last part which is left, and that is how the strategies that can be used in moving up to better customer service. So in case you do have any questions or queries and all that, you may please, you can either connect with me. My mobile number is given along with the email ID. Or if anything specific is there, any question that you would like to ask, then you can also connect with Anuradha Sharma. Nevertheless, if you connect with me and you give your email ID, while the recording will be shared anyways, for all those who are interested in the PowerPoint slides, then that also can be shared, but I will require your email IDs. So you can connect with me and type in your email ID so that the session PowerPoint can be mailed across to you. All right. So thank you very much. And we then wind up this session on this note. Hope to see all of you back again at 7:30 p.m. For an interesting session on Power to Succeed by Farida Messiwala. All right. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Thank you, Elroy. Thanks a lot. Good night.
Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night. Bye.